Anyone who tells you that these people are not trying to give surgeries to children, please send them this video. I beg you to send them this video. This protest was in response to a Trump executive order that would withhold funding from any institution, namely hospitals, that performed surgeries on children. Okay? These people went out and protested that measure because the Seattle Children's Hospital implemented it. So they went to the Seattle Children's Hospital and protested it. I'd also like to note that for years, the Seattle Children's Hospital has been performing surgeries on kids. This guy right here, in the little hat and the glasses, told me that his his son got top surgery, or sorry, yeah, his daughter. He said his son, actually a girl. His daughter got top surgery at the Seattle Children's Hospital, meaning she got her boobs cut off. Child. So let's watch this.
My child actually got surgery here, and it was a great experience for them.
What kind of surgery was it?
My son got top surgery here.
90% of you are not subbed. Hit the sub button. 90% of the people who watch these videos, we've got about 16,000 recurring viewers. Hey, thank you, Laura, so much for the sub. About 16,000 recurring viewers. 90% of them are not subscribed to this channel. Hit the subscribe button. Just hit it. You know you like watching my videos. You keep coming back for them. You keep seeing them in your recommended. Hit the sub button. All right, guys, I just got back from a Protect Trans Youth protest at the Seattle Children's Hospital. We're going to get into the footage and the interviews that I shot there in just 1 second. I just want to explain the objective of this video. Donald Trump just issued an executive order that trans-affirming surgeries cannot be performed on children. He also issued an executive order that men cannot compete in women's sports. This has sparked outrage across the country, and it sparked these protests. What I did today was go to the protest undercover. I wore a gay pride sticker on my shirt and a Free Palestine pin on my coat. My goal in that was to make these people feel comfortable because I wanted to push them to see how far they would go. What do they actually think? It seems that nobody actually thinks these people want to perform surgeries on children, but the ban on those surgeries is exactly what they were out there protesting. I spoke with parents who gave their children transgender affirming surgeries at the Seattle Children's Hospital. I spoke to behavioral therapists who specialize in trans children, and I spoke to staff at the hospital. Staff that was out protesting. And some of the answers they gave were absolutely insane. Now, I was undercover, so I wasn't able to respond to the arguments that they made. I just agreed with everything they said. So throughout this video, there might be points where the video pauses and I debunk whatever it is they might be saying. I'll make my arguments here since I wasn't able to make them in person. If I made them in person, I wouldn't have gotten any more interviews. Before we dive into it, make sure to join my Discord. If you like debating as much as I do, my goal is to have debates revolving in Discord all the time. Everyone is welcome, regardless of whether you agree with me or not. The link to that Discord is in the description below this video. Let's get into it. I am currently undercover here at this protest. They believe me to be fully on their side. And I'm kind of just trying to see how far they'll go with these ideas that children as young as 3 years old should be allowed to receive gender-affirming care. And specifically, this protest was sparked over the lack of surgery. You guys like my pins? My gay sticker and my Free Palestine pin. Top and bottom surgery for children. And that's the issue that we're trying to highlight here. The first thing I'll ask you is just, you know, why we're out here, where we are, and what sparked this protest.
We're out in front of Seattle Children's Hospital, who have decided to comply in advance with an illegal and unconstitutional executive order without waiting for our Attorney General, which we knew would move quickly to block it. We all have friends, family, co-workers that are trans, and these kids deserve every bit of medical care that can be offered to them.
I heard this argument quite a lot today, that what Trump did was unconstitutional or illegal. But what people don't understand is that Trump didn't actually ban transgender surgeries on minors, on children. That would likely require an act of Congress. Instead, what he did is he issued an executive order that ordered agency heads to withhold federal funding in the form of grants from any institution, particularly hospitals, that perform gender-affirming surgeries on kids. The executive branch of the federal government reserves limited rights to decide where federal grants go. It's certainly not unconstitutional because the Constitution very seldom says anything about who has the authority to distribute grants and to who and when. Instead, we're going to be dealing more so with things like the Impoundment Act and the Administrative Procedure Act. Agency heads have the right to decide who gets the grants after Congress allocates it. They just can't do this on a basis that violates the intent of Congress. For example, if Congress set a budget that would fund hospitals, the executive branch can't then go and give it to universities. It's for hospitals, but they have say in what hospitals get it. And furthermore, I find it hilarious how the left picks out bureaucratic.
We're here in Seattle, Washington at Seattle Children's Hospital. Seattle Children's Hospital has been providing evidence-based gender-affirming care for transgender children who are at much higher risk than cisgender kids for all kinds of negative mental health outcomes, including as a result of untreated gender dysphoria. They're at risk, and so based on the research studies that have been done...
The research studies? What
globally,
research studies?
Seattle Children's Hospital has been providing medically necessary gender-affirming care.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip over my debunks from this video. Yeah, Katie, thank you, or Kathy, thank you for the sub. I'm going to skip over my debunks of what they're saying for this video. You guys can go watch the actual video if you want those debunks, but those are going to be points at which I do commentary in the video.
Totally. So I'm an employee at Seattle Children's. I'm also queer.
A queer employee of the Seattle Children's Hospital out here protesting the hospital. This is at the Seattle Children's Hospital. She's protesting her own hospital because the hospital will not operate on children.
So this is something that hits really hard and home for me. And it's also something that really matters to a lot of Seattle Children's employees. Many employees work here because of the gender care that their children or their family members have received. So when we heard about this issue in The Stranger, we didn't hear about it from anyone who worked at Seattle Children's. It was from The Stranger. It was a big shock, and it really angered a lot of people and frustrated us and felt like we're not sticking to our core values as an organization. Yeah, so we're here, we're showing our support. We want to end the transgender surgery ban.
Surgery ban. We're not talking about like letting kids dress like boys or dress like girls or, you know, even puberty blockers. We're talking about surgeries, operations, invasive operations on children.
We want our kids to get care.
Families were called who had appointments with the gender clinic for gender affirming care and appointments for the month of February. All appointments, including for puberty blockers, HRT, surgeries were... Surgeries. This is a children's hospital. Emphasis on children's hospital. Canceled, and no other information was given. And so we're here asking that they continue to provide care because this order is illegal. And
it's not illegal.
It hasn't had a chance to go through the courts yet. And
you implement laws before they're challenged. That's how law works. If a law is passed and it's unconstitutional, the law is implemented and enforced until it's struck down, not before it's struck down. It's not preemptive. They didn't preemptively implement the law. The law was implemented when it was signed.
And so they're depriving these kids of life-saving care.
So we're at Seattle Children's Hospital out on Sandpoint Way.
It's another employee of the hospital.
We got news approximately 2 days ago that the executive leadership team had suspended gender-affirming care for anyone under the age of 19. And that included anyone who was ready for an appointment for the last 2 to 3 years, who got a day of call that they were going to be losing their appointments and their ability to receive gender-affirming care. And we did not receive notice from the team. There was no communication. And we heard about it. The Gender Clinic heard about it through a Stranger article.
The Stranger is a newspaper in Seattle, a leftist newspaper.
The day that the orders were released. And I mean, of course, we had wide-scale outrage through the organization, and we're out here today making sure that they hear our voice.
And what kind of gender-affirming care has been suspended? You said everybody under the age of 19. Like, what types of things are these kids losing access to?
From what we understand, it's anything from voice therapy to gender-affirming surgeries.
Surgeries. Children's hospital. Kids.
Primarily, surgeries were taken off the table.
That's what they're mad about.
Man really hated ads.
Surgeries were taken off the table.
Here's what he would do. Day one, he would install Pi on his computer without spending
They do not care.
I am not sure of all the specifics, if they've canceled the kind of the mental health aspect of the gender affirming care or not. So I can't speak specifically to that. I know that they've canceled gender affirming surgery such as top surgery.
They suspended top surgeries, and that's what we're upset about, is cutting the boobs off of children. We think that should continue, so we're really mad about the fact that it's not continuing.
For trans boys. I know
Trans boys.
I believe they've canceled appointments for GnRH agonists, which are puberty blockers, which have been used very safely for years with children who go into puberty early, precocious puberty. For various reasons, children will go into puberty at 9 months or at
I don't know about that.
4 years old, which is too early for anybody, and they've been treated successfully with puberty blockers. And so these have been used to treat children to delay puberty in order to buy them more time to decide what type of puberty is best for their bodies.
I would guess that the type of puberty that is best for their bodies is probably the type of puberty that they're biologically supposed to go through, right? That's what I would imagine, right? Is probably the puberty that is best for their body is the puberty that their body is giving them. Just I'm just taking a crapshoot here. It's just a wild guess.
And that has proven to be much more effective in treating trans kids than withholding such a treatment.
Well, it's hard to say because we actually don't know. We haven't been able to talk to the people who put this ban in place, the executive leadership team. They won't answer our messages or our calls or anything. So as far as we know, the surgery ban is in place and there's probably more to come.
I would also love to know what this girl does at the hospital. Like, is she a janitor or is she a nurse? What does she do?
No. Yeah.
They're restricting gender-affirming care for children under the age of 17.
This guy's under the impression that it's under the age of 19, but this guy thinks it's under the age of 17, and he's outraged about it. He's like, we need surgery for kids under the age of 17 for sure.
Or 19, I'm sorry.
He found
Which
himself.
is ridiculous. It's completely safe care. It's needed care. It's all
needed.
about hate for the people.
Needed care. It's needed.
People imposing this ban.
And it's all about hate. It's all about hate for the people imposing the ban. Is it all about hate, or are we worried that kids are not able to do literally anything else for themselves, but people like you are for some reason allowing children to mutilate themselves, cut their breasts off, cut their genitals off? That's what you're allowing. I would very much like to reiterate that children under the age of 16 years old, they can't gamble, they can't drive cars, they can't have a job, they can't buy homes, they can't buy property, they can't vote in elections, they can't serve in the military, they can't buy tobacco, they can't buy alcohol, they can't smoke marijuana or buy it, they can't buy paraphernalia. What else can't they do? They can't do virtually anything. They can't move out of their parents' house without emancipation. They can't do anything. They can't buy stocks. They can't buy bonds. And you want to let them decide their gender? I can't.
In my family's case, my child actually got surgery here, and it was a great experience for them.
His little kid, his child got surgery here. And it was a great experience for them. Right.
So to have that denied for other kids that need it is...
Kids that need it? Nobody needs it. Nobody needs it. It's an elective surgery. Lauren Phoenix, thank you so much for the follow, for the subscribe. I would like to point this out, actually. You know what? How about gender affirming surgeries? Okay. What if how about a little girl? A little girl, a 12-year-old, is upset about her gender identity. She doesn't feel that her body is properly expressing her gender. In her mind, she is I have to handle this very delicately. In her mind, she wants big breasts and a big butt. She doesn't have those things because she's 12, right? So she says, I want a Brazilian butt lift and I want breast implants. And the law and the parents say, no, you can't do that. You're a child. You can't have a Brazilian butt lift and breast implants. But it's my gender. It's affirming my gender. You know, I was born a female and I want to be an attractive female. So I want these things. I want implants in my butt and my breasts. I want these things. And, you know, I can't live without them. Say, no, it's different, right? Because trans people, they'll kill themselves if they don't get, gender affirming care. Well, this 12-year-old wants to kill herself too. Do we just cave and give her a Brazilian butt lift and breast implants? A 12-year-old? No. These are all it's so interesting to me because they say we're not sexualizing children. But the implementation of gender affirming care, especially in the form of surgeries, which is what these people are advocating for at the Seattle Children's Hospital, right? That's what they're protesting, is a ban on transgender surgeries for children at the Children's Hospital. All of these things that are involved with surgeries have to do with sexual characteristics. We're not sexualizing your children. We're just either giving them bigger breasts, cutting their breasts off, or mutilating their sexual genitals. We're not sexualizing them though. You know, these are all sexual characteristics. These things only serve the function of sexual pleasure, sexual intercourse, or the fallout of sexual intercourse, i.e. breastfeeding your child. That's what all of these things are for. Sexual pleasure, sexual intercourse, or the fallout of sexual intercourse, i.e. feeding your children. That's all they're there for. They don't serve any other purpose other than to annoy women when they walk upstairs. Or run. That's it. That's all they're there for.
Terrifying.
If you don't mind me asking, what kind of surgery was it?
My son got top surgery here.
Okay, nice. How old? If you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but
Well below 19.
well below 19. Okay, good. Gotcha.
This child was well below the age of 19 when he sexually transitioned his little girl and allowed her to mutilate her sexual characteristics, her breasts, cut them off.
A lot of people, so you've worked with trans kids and queer kids, and a lot of people, particularly people who voted for Donald Trump, I think have this proclivity to claim that kids don't know who they are, especially when they're talking about younger kids. There's no way they could ever know that they're transgender. This is something that only adults could know, etc. What would you say to those people, whether it's stuff from your personal experience or professional experience or both?
I think that you're not talking to kids because kids are really smart and they know themselves better than anybody. And I think if you were to talk to a transgender American kid, that they would be able to tell you exactly when they started conceptualizing their gender and started feeling complex feelings about it. From my experience, these feelings start up like 2 to 3 years old. So these are
2 to 3 years old. I would like to make very clear that an adult cat has the mental capacity of a 2-year-old child, of a 2-year-old human child. A cat. I would like to make very clear that most 2-year-olds can't write their own name. Most 2-year-olds don't know their own name. Okay? Most 2-year-olds have the cognitive processing power of sorting objects into groups with similar characteristics, like color and shape. But you're telling me they can understand their gender and transition into a new gender? Are you fucking kidding me? That is the most insane shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
feelings that these kids are living with at a really young age.
I would just like to point out how apps they're having for each
To be at the
other at 2.
and they research has shown us that they know at a very
Yeah,
young
literally
age.
can
I would
barely
cite
walk.
The research of Dr. Christina Olson. She's used to be at the University of Washington. She's now and their gender shows
That commentary was, I looked into Dr. Christina Olson, and basically she is widely discredited for using either improper measurements of data, false data, misrepresenting data, or using testing like IAT, which is implicit association, which is widely discredited for having a test-retest score of 0.04, which means that if you administer the test, it's likely to deliver a different result the exact, like the next time you give it, with no explanation for why it delivered a different result. So unreliable.
and her evidence-based, valid research.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be Spider-Man. I wanted to be Spider-Man too when I was a kid. I literally spent weeks in a Spider-Man costume. I slept in it, I ate in it, I walked around in it, I went in public with it. I had web slingers that I used to web up my grandparents' house with. I literally thought I was Spider-Man. And then after that, I thought I was Luke Skywalker. My mom told me that Yoda drove a red convertible and she went to college with him. I thought I was the chosen one. I had a lightsaber. My grandfather called me and pretended to be Yoda, and I bought it. Right? Because I was an idiot kid. And I'd like to make clear, they just said a second ago that kids aged 2 to 3 know what gender they are. I was like 6 when that happened. I thought I was Luke Skywalker, and my grandfather called me pretending to be Yoda, and I believed it. Okay? I still believed in Santa Claus at 6 years old. I believed in the Easter Bunny at 6 years old, and the Tooth Fairy.
Research shows that these children know who they are, and they don't waver. And when they are treated medically to treat their gender dysphoria, their mental health outcomes much more closely mirror their cisgender counterparts. So I would say take a look at the research, and also in my experience, people know who they are. And when you think about kids going through phases, think about how long your phases lasted, right? Like you were into
Pretty long. And this is the thing too, is if my mom continued to affirm my phases and tell me that my delusions were correct, I would have continued believing the delusions, right? If my mom kept telling me, you are Luke Skywalker, I am your mom, I am Padme Amidala, your dad is fucking Anakin Skywalker, right? I would have continued to believe it. My mom bought me a Darth Vader voice changer and told me it was my dad's. She told me it was my dad's outfit, and I believed it. And then she had Grandpa call me and tell me he was Yoda. She told me she went to college with Yoda, and that's how she had his contact info. And I believed it, right? If my mom continued, and I remember one day I said, hey mom, was that Papa on the phone and not Yoda? And she told me, right? But if she continued to blow smoke up my ass and tell me that I was actually Luke Skywalker, that I was the new chosen one, and that I was going to restore balance to the fucking Force, right? I probably would have continued to believe her, right? And that's exactly what's happening with these trans kids.
I don't know. Well, my kid thought he was a tiger. Well, how long did that
Yeah,
last?
well, yeah, probably because you told him he wasn't a fucking tiger. That's probably why it didn't last very long. Is you probably told him, hey bro, you're not a tiger. If you're a person, you're a human being. You don't even have fur, right?
You know,
It's pretty evident to him that he's not a tiger because he doesn't have fur. He can look at people around him and say, wow, I look like a human. Actually, I can look in the mirror and I'm a human, not a tiger. And he probably never actually believed he was a tiger. He was probably pretending he was a tiger, right? But if society and your parents and all of your peers and the adults in your life continue to tell you you can actually be a boy even though you were born a girl, you're probably gonna believe them.
years.
I thought I was
It's a
Spider-Man.
long time. Yeah.
I thought I was Luke Skywalker at one point.
Right. I mean, you know.
It actually got weird here. It seemed like she was making my argument for me.
Years are.
Hey,
That's
how's it going, Iriel? I don't know if I said that correctly, but I'm actually going to be interviewing Iriel here pretty soon on the 17th. It's going to be great content for you. He's a detransitioner, transitioned. You'll have to say it in the comments because I forget what age you started. I know 19 to 24 was the big stint in time. It's going to be a great interview. I literally cannot wait. Also, we're going to be doing a Q&A in the Discord here in a second, linked below the Discord. So go to the description, join the Discord. After this stream ends, which is going to be after I finish reacting to this, we're going to do a Q&A. You can ask me anything from my favorite color to a direct challenge in one of my positions. I'm going to answer every single question as long as it stays below 2 to 3 hours, and then we're going to publish that as a separate piece of content. So make sure to come, guys.
time for a kid to be in a so-called
Just join
phase.
VC and continue watching this in VC until I get there. I'll be with you guys shortly.
Any individual who's been in a situation as a parent who has engaged with a child to this degree recognizes the dysphoria, recognizes the signs, and engages with
16 years old. Crazy. I started at 16 years old, took cross-sex hormones for 18 years. Wow. Let's see. I want to just see what your initial comment was again. Oh, I didn't even see your what's up, Cam. How's it going? My transition definitely didn't bring balance to the force. Yeah, I bet.
with them in conversation. It's not something that we can necessarily turn a blind eye to when they're engaged in that conversation every minute of every day, and they're showing entirely in their whole body signs that they would like to be something else than they are. And this care is necessary to ensure that that is confirmed and cemented in their life.
For somebody again, that they would like to be something else than they are. He just spelled it out, that they're not that. They'd like to be something else than what they are. They're not what they want to be. He spells it out perfectly clear for all of us, that they're not actually that thing that they want to be. In reality, they're a child who's going through a phase. On top of that, like, if I want to be a millionaire, right, I can't just, have the government give me millions of dollars so I can be a millionaire, right? It's not how these things work. You don't get everything you want.
This issue isn't important to you. For somebody who doesn't have
I would also like to point out, like, I don't care what adults do to their bodies, okay? I believe in freedom of choice to do whatever you want with your body, as long as it's not a violation of the non-aggression principle. So if you want to get, transgender surgery as an adult, do what you want, right? I have a problem when it's forced onto children, when doctors are able to perform sexual transitions on children, give them puberty blockers, give them surgeries, whatever it might be, on children. And then especially corrupting their minds into their adult life, so that then they continue on that path of transition that they don't actually want because they were corrupted as children. And furthermore, I guess another thing that I have a problem with is when it's funded by taxpayers. So if my dollars that I pay in my taxes are being used to fund transgender surgeries in homeless shelters, for example, I have a problem with that, right? Tax dollars shouldn't be used to fund these things, and they shouldn't be performed on children. As far as I'm concerned, as long as you're not harming other people, adults can do what they want with their body. I don't have a logical argument out of that. But
relatives, or specifically trans youth relatives, or friends who have children that are trans, and they don't understand this, particularly I don't know, probably people in the South. I don't know, people who just
I played that very smoothly. That was like a dog whistle to the lefties.
People who just don't get it. What would you say, like, what are the signs?
What are the signs?
Yeah.
First and foremost, just to speak to, if you don't understand it, first and foremost is exposure. The one thing that we capitalize here in America is isolationism, and the one thing that they lack 9 times out of 10 is the exposure to this community. The one thing you need to do is experience someone who goes through these difficulties so that you can widen your perspective of what a human is capable of and what potential looks like across our spectrum in humanity. But the signs are going to be heightened aggression, a significant amount of distrust and disengagement in who they're supposed to be along the lines of who their parentage and greater community is telling them that they're supposed to be engaging with. The signs are going to be a significant amount of questioning, a significant amount of general dysphoria, of engaging with peers generally incorrectly.
San Francisco County funded HRT for homeless youth ages 18 to 24 starting at least from 2009. That is crazy that it's that far back. I would not have guessed that it went that far back. That is crazy. I cannot wait for our interview. I am going to learn so much from you. I just can't wait. I'm so excited. It's going to be a great interview, and I can't wait for the people to see it too.
And a number of other touch points that I'd probably re-engage with along clinical lines. I wouldn't want to misspeak beyond that.
And by the way, guys, I mentioned that that interview will be on the 17th, and it will go up on the at least by the 19th, I promise you, but probably the 18th. I will spend all of my time editing that.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah. And since I have the luxury of talking to somebody like you who's worked with a lot of trans kids, in what way do they express it? Like, is it maybe I don't like boy stuff, or I don't like girl stuff, or I want, long hair, like, what way do they express it?
It's definitely that. I think it's a lot of small things wanting to...
It's also hilarious that gender abolitionists want to tie people to, like, traditional gender stereotypes and gender roles. Oh, well, this little kid wants long hair. It's a girl. It was born a boy, but it wants long hair and pink t-shirts. Must be a girl. I thought you guys didn't believe in, like, these very rigid gender stereotypes and gender roles. Clearly, that's not the case, because if a little boy wants long hair, you say it's a girl and chop his nuts off. Like, I just don't understand. And another thing is, like, I so see how this could happen, right? Because I very vividly remember asking my mother when I was a child, like, hey, why does my sister get Barbies and long hair and she gets to paint her nails? Like, what if I wanted to do those things, right? And an insane parent might say, oh my God, my kid's transgender. He just asked me if he can paint his nails and have long hair and play with Barbies. In reality, I was a 4-year-old asking questions, right? I was trying to understand the world around me because I didn't understand, like, gender stereotypes and gender roles. I didn't understand that girls like pink things and Barbies, and they like to play with girl toys, and boys like to play with boy toys, like army toys. Now, don't get me wrong, like, I didn't want to play with Barbies, right? I wanted to play with the doll houses because I played video games where the soldiers went and shot the houses up, right? So I wanted to set all the doll houses up to put my army guys in, which is why I was asking about that. I don't know about the nail polish and all that other stuff. I just remember the conversation. And what would happen is an insane parent would say, my kid's transgender. I'm not transgender. I have never been transgender. I've never wanted to transition my gender. I've never been interested in painting my nails beyond the question of why does my sister do it and boys generally don't do it. I was trying to understand the world around me. Furthermore, I know tons of girls that I went to elementary school with who dressed up like boys, who wore long baggy sports t-shirts and jeans, wore their hair all messy with backwards hats, right? Those aren't boys. No, those are girls. They're still girls today. They're not transgender. They're girls. Biologically and as they present. They're girls. Right? So when little girls start doing those things now, if you tell them, oh, you're a boy. You wear boy, you must be a boy, right? Then maybe they'll get it in their head that they're a boy and go along with whatever your sick fanatics are. But left to their own devices, they're not going to become a boy.
Wear different clothes, style their hair
Thanks,
different
Tora.
ways.
It seems to just
Tomboy
get
girls,
easier.
exactly. Some of them might turn out to be lesbians, but they're definitely not boys. That's for sure.
Understand the world around them.
But it also comes out in self-expression and their personal identity. So it comes out in everything. Their creativity is diminished when they're being forced into a box that doesn't fit. Their happiness is diminished when they're forced into a box that doesn't fit. They're really just not able to thrive as human beings and as children. They feel limited and scared. And that's really all they know. They don't understand why it's happening. They just know that they're not being supported and they are scared. And they might be hurting too.
So what does that expression look like in
This is good. I asked him what the expression in trans kids looks like when those kids like decide that they're trans, whatever. This is the guy who transitioned his daughter, who took his daughter to Seattle Children's Hospital to have her breasts cut off. Watch this.
trans kids when they realize or they start to realize, like, how do you know?
How do you know that your kid's transgender?
It took a long time because at first our child didn't really know, you didn't have the vocabulary to figure it out. But once he
See you later.
gained that vocabulary, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're totally good.
I asked him, how do you know that your child is transgender? He doesn't know that his child is transgender. That's exactly the problem. is that he doesn't know his child's transgender, but he transitioned his child nonetheless. He has no answers for how he knew. Disgusting. All right, guys, so we're going to end the live. We're about to end the live. I used to use my brother's G.I. Joes as kids for my Barbies. That's funny. Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, are you sure you don't need help with your transition? It seems like maybe you're interested in boy toys. You might just be a boy. But we're gonna drop the stream, guys. We've been live for about an hour and 11 minutes. We're gonna head over to Discord, which is linked in the description below, and we are going to do a Q&A in VC. So just head over there, join the VC. I'll be there in just a second. You can ask me anything from my favorite color to questions about my political ideology to direct challenges on my positions, and I'll be happy to debate anybody who joins. So with that being said, we're gonna hop off and do that. That Q&A will be published as a standalone piece of content on the YouTube. So head over there and we'll do the Q&A. And I will see you guys in the next one.